Hey guys, Megan here. I am the founder of this group, Tax Savvy Bookkeeper, and I am coming in today to talk about pricing, a question that comes up probably almost as much as how do I get clients, which is something we'll talk about another day, so don't ask that right now. But we're going to talk about pricing today and some of the thought that I have behind it, some of what I keep in mind when I price my services, and what kind of prices you can expect from different types of clients. So keep in mind, if I haven't mentioned this before, keep in mind most of the clients that I end up working with are small business owners. A lot of them I actually meet online in Facebook groups. Mostly it's people like copywriters, digital marketers, web designers. I do have some like event planners. I have a lawyer client. I have a restaurant. So every once in a while, I'll get like some brick and mortar clients as well. I have some boutiques, but mostly they're smaller. They're like simpler setup. And a lot of the time, the pricing that you can, I hate to say it like this, but honestly, get away with is based on their thoughts behind the value that you're going to be providing to them. So a couple of things. You have some choices. You can choose to charge hourly, or you can choose to charge a retainer. This is my thought behind which one to go with between those two. If you know every single aspect of what you're going to be doing for them, you are as confident as you can be that it's not going to they're not going to add more stuff in. You're not going to have a whole lot of challenges or extra questions or anything like that. Then a retainer is honestly the best way to go for you a lot of times, because it just makes it simpler. You are guaranteed a certain amount of money as you work longer, as you do stuff for them longer. Even if it's stuff you've been doing for years, they are a new client to you. So as you work with them longer, you'll get faster at it. You'll be more efficient. You'll kind of figure out your workflow. So it's going to be in your best interest to charge a retainer if that is the setup. But kind of reverse that, if you're not 100% confident in everything that's going to come your way, and it's a type of situation where, there may be a bigger setup client and they don't even know what all they're going to need help with, it's going to probably be in your best interest to charge hourly so that you're not left doing some work for free. So it's honestly, there's not a right answer with that. There's not a best case scenario, or there's not like a best answer. It's really dependent on that particular client, how sure you are on exactly what you're going to be doing for them, and keep things in mind such as outliers that may come up. How likely are there going to be glitches in the system? How likely is there going to be some emergency that comes up? How likely is it going to be that they start bombarding you with emails and questions? Some clients like to talk a lot, have a lot of communication. So that's a good question to ask them in that initial call. So keep those things in mind as you get in your business, as you work in your business longer, and you get more comfortable with how long things typically take you. That's when you can lean more towards retainers. Some people call it value pricing, setting a specific value set amount for each month for the work that you're doing. But I personally don't think there's anything wrong with doing it hourly if you're not 100% confident in everything that's going to come your way. I have one client that I charge hourly for. I've worked with him for I guess probably about a year and a half now. And I still work with him hourly because there are different things that come up every month. He's a larger client. I basically run one aspect of his accounting department for him. And so I kind of take things as they come. It's not just one particular thing. So I wanted to start out with that before I said any specific prices, anything like that. I wanted to give you my thoughts on that kind of setup. So let's see who's tuning in. Hey, Candace, Toppy, Stephanie, Danielle, Lynette, Melissa. Hey, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in live. If you have any questions along the way, definitely pop them in here and we can address it. But just talking about some of my thoughts between hourly versus retainer. So how do I come up with an hourly rate if that is going to be the route that I go? typically I have a base rate in mind. And honestly, I've gotten up to a certain amount, right? I've been doing this for 2.5 years now in my business. When I very first started, it was a lot lower. I was not as confident in how long things would take me. I was not as confident in that people were going to pay the prices, right? So I started a little bit lower. My very first client, I want to say the very, very, very first accounting project, I think I was $14 an hour is what they were willing to pay me, which even back then I did feel that that was low for what I was doing for them. But keep in mind too, what kind of people are they used to working with? Are they used to working with employees? Are they used to working with people maybe not professional without a whole lot of skills under their belt? So very first project it took was $14 an hour. When I got enough confidence and really started becoming a little bit more sure of how long things took me, I actually started at $25 an hour with taking on some bookkeeping clients myself. And then I started kind of stair-stepping that up with each new client that I worked with. And now I'm to the point where if I'm going to charge hourly, I think about it as what hourly rate do I want to make? Bottom of the barrel, simple things like data entry, things that I could do in my sleep, but then some of the more complex issues as well. And then I kind of come up with, I get an average number. So let's say the bottom of the barrel that I'm willing to accept now would be $50 an hour. But let's say that this client, they also need some tax strategy. They also need some, I don't know, advisement in certain areas that I've actually gotten a lot of knowledge about, gotten a lot of things under my belt at this point. So let's say for those particular topics, if we were going to schedule like an hour-long conversation just talking about that, I may charge them $250 just for that topic. So then I kind of do an average and figure out how much I'd want to make based on that. So that's kind of what I keep in mind. Like if I'm forming a retainer for the month and I know that the simple tasks, let's say the simple task, it'll take me 5 hours a month. So the simple tasks are about like $50 each, right? Or $50 per hour. And then, but I know each month we're also going to be talking about this more complex task that's $250. Then I kind of work it out, and that's like $500 a month, right? So just kind of think it out like that. And if you don't have that much experience in how long those things will take you or the more complex things, just keep that hourly rate in mind. I don't know if that made a whole lot of sense there, but let's see who else is here. Nicole, Debbie, hi guys. So let's see. It's a lot of working it out in your mind. So when people come to me now and they say, okay, this is the particular client, this is everything I'm going to be doing for them, how much would you charge them? I do that those thoughts in my mind. I think, okay, it's going to be about 5 hours a month, simple tasks that I would normally charge $50 an hour for, and it's going to be one of the more complex topics that I would normally charge $250 for, so $500 a month. That's what I think about in my mind. Hopefully that made a little bit more sense. You might want to start out a little bit lower than that, because what you also have to keep in mind is those particular clients you're talking to. What are they going to come into this expecting? If you're thinking, if you lay it all out in front of yourself and say, okay, accounts receivable, that's going to be $100 a month. Accounts payable, that's going to be $100 a month. Transaction coding, that's going to be $100 a month. And you add it all up and you come up to $500, but they're a business owner that is barely even making, a couple of thousand a month themselves. They're probably not going to pay you $500 a month to do their bookkeeping. So maybe that means you don't want to work with them. Maybe that means that they're not your type of client. But if you do want to work with them and you do want to make it work, you have to think about that as well. So yes, maybe you want to charge $100 for taking care of all of their accounts receivable, but what if they only have like 2 clients they're invoicing? It's not going to take that much time. So think about it that way too. So try to be fair to them. Try to, I'm not saying you have to have a heart for small business owners. You can approach this however you want to, but I do have hi, you were able to tune in. I never catch you because you're, let's see, how would I pronounce your name? I would love if you could kind of put it for me phonetically. Zulakai? maybe. Let me know how to pronounce it. I'm glad you're able to tune in. I can never catch you, or you can never catch me on one of these things because of our time difference. But hey, Jennifer. Um, so yeah, so if I have a heart for small business owners, I want to help them out. Yes, I want to be compensated. I want to make sure that I am making good money for the amount of work that I'm doing, but you have to keep both factors in mind. It's a little bit different than when you're in the industry and you're kind of laying out all the different departments that you're in charge of, like, payroll, accounts receivable, accounts payroll, collections, all these things. They are worth a lot. You should be compensated a lot for them. But if it's a small business owner and it's just all going to be kind of commingled together, keep that in mind as well. Zulike. I'm so sorry. I don't want to butcher it. I really want to say it correctly. And then all of us will know how to say it correctly as well. But anyway, I'm glad that you're here and I'm glad that you're able to tune in. So keep that in mind too. So it's a lot of stuff you have to think about. It's a lot of stuff that it will get easier as you work with more clients, but just to make it as simple as possible, if you're not really sure how long it'll take, hourly is totally fine. And honestly, I'll give you an idea. Very super small business owners that are strictly service-based, it's just them. They're probably sole proprietor or single member LLC. They are making under $100,000 a year. And they just need you to handle the transactions that are coming through. A lot of times they're probably going to start around $250. Some of them might even start around $150, but that's up to you if you want to go that low. I used to work with clients that were at $150 monthly. I don't take them anymore because I do find that it's not, honestly, it's not worth my time. I know that sounds awful to say, but now that I've built a team, now that I have subcontractors that help me with my clients, by the time that I pay the subcontractor to help them, plus I'm still working with them too, and I'm offering them this guidance, we're not really making a profit off of 150. Now, if it's just you, you're just starting out, you're working with them directly, then you probably will make a profit. You probably don't have a whole lot of expenses that are coming out of your business. But if you're charging people 150, you're going to need to work with a lot of them to be able to make the amount of money that you want to make too. So think about that when you're choosing the type of client to work with. If they're a super small business owner, you're going to need a lot of them to add up. 250 is probably more common. I have a lot, well, at this point, I have a lot that I charge 350, 500 on up there like that. But if you have a bunch of clients at 250, it takes 4 of them to even make $1,000 a month. So think about it like that. You might want to aim for a little bit larger, like the law firm client. I can charge a little bit more, have a little bit more of a profit margin because she is an attorney. She already kind of has in her mind more of the value that she sees me as an accountant, as a bookkeeper. So I'm able to charge a little bit higher than just based on hours worked. So let me know if all this kind of makes sense, if that's helpful for you. I'm sorry there's not just some magic number, but I'm sure you weren't expecting that anyway. There's never just some like good, perfect answer to give for any different scenario. And there's just no best way to go about it. It's really up to you and what you're willing to take. If you just want to learn how to do these tasks, get that confidence. I see a lot of you guys offering to do some services for free. If that's what you feel you need to get your foot in the door, then do that. I know that has given some people confidence and has really helped them. So if you're willing to do it for free, then you would be willing to do it for $20, $25 an hour on your very first client. Let's see. How did you expand your knowledge to be able to offer more? I'd like to learn more about taxes so I have a better grasp. Yeah, so that's a great question. As you are learning more about the industry and as you pick up more skills, you do pick up more that you can offer for higher value. So expanding your knowledge, some of that is not even about expanding your skills. It's about learning how to specifically explain that to your clients and how to start to speak their language. And that's something I talked about if you caught my live training I did in the Free Mama group. If you're in that group, I don't know if I talked about it last Monday when I was in here or not, but that's something that I talk about a lot with my course members. It's going to be that language and learning how to speak your client's language. If you get even a small business owner on the phone and you hear their pain points and you hear what they really need help with, and you're able to speak to them, like really speak to them and help them see that working with you is going to get them to their goals and going to help them make more money, save more money in taxes, all of these things that you're doing on a basic level anyway. You're just maybe not communicating it as well to them, what you're able to do. If you can really speak to them, you're going to be able to charge them more. They're going to be willing to pay more because they're going to see the benefit of what you are doing for them, brings them. So how do you learn to speak that language? Some of it comes with time. Some of it comes with doing some market research. You can do a little bit of practice. Maybe if you know any small business owners, ask if you can, if you know them pretty well, ask them if you could hop on a call with them and ask them a couple questions that would help you in developing some of your language that you're using in your potential calls. See if they're willing to help you with that. And like pick up on keywords. Like that's something I talked about on my training last week, is that, if they say they need someone to help keep them accountable, they need help saving money on taxes, they need help setting goals and reaching their goals. Those are all things that you can actually do as a bookkeeper. Now, learning more about taxes as far as like filing taxes for them, that reaches a little bit more into different programs that you probably have to do. You can do research on your own. You can go to the IRS site, honestly, and look up, taxes, business expenses, tax deductible expenses. You can do a lot of research on your own. It's not an easy read. It's not a fun read. But there are courses that you can take to learn more about that. You can, of course, become an enrolled agent if you want to file taxes, or you can start to work under a tax accountant that already does it. But as far as like income taxes and helping people plan for those quarterly estimated income taxes, that is something you can learn now. I do that. I kind of learned it myself. I did a little bit in the industry, and then I actually learned a whole lot myself by just studying it, and a little bit of trial and error actually with my own, starting to play with those estimates. What you can end up doing once you learn a little bit about it is you can take the last income taxes they filed, and you can figure out their personal tax rates, marginal tax rates, things like that. You have to understand how to read the tax return in order to do it. But again, a little bit of practice, you can learn how to read it. You figure out the tax rates, and then you see how their business income and expenses come into play. It's a little bit hard to explain that. It's definitely something, that you can learn more about, or, I might decide to teach a little bit more. I have done some one-on-one trainings with clients to teach them how to do it themselves. I've not really ever stepped into trying to teach any of my course students how to do that, but that may be something that I could try to incorporate too. So, but a lot of it, expanding your knowledge to offer more, a lot of it is just really learning the language and how to speak to them and the words that resonate with them and things like that. You're welcome, Nicole. Hopefully that was helpful. So anyway, I think that's about it. Hopefully that this made sense and this resonated with you. So it really is up to you to decide prices that you're willing to accept, prices that are reasonable. Just keep in mind who your client is, where they're at in their business, what's important to them to spend their money on. Yes, paying you is very important. We know that. But sometimes you just have to kind of get that message across to them too. So anyway, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye-bye.